Hi everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Voice It Out Broadcast Network, where we inspire change by helping you bloom beyond boundaries. My name is Wangere Njeri, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for passing by. Thank you so much for being here with us. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And before we continue, let me introduce my friends here so that you can get to know them. Sawa sawa. We're going to start over here.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here right with you guys. Well, my name is Alvin Vendetta.
And I am Mushiri Mishani. Pleasure being here.
The one and only. Rhoda Abuya, thank you so much for staying with us.
Okay. So, as you can see from our description, today we're going to be talking about World Press Freedom Day. And to all journalists out there, to all content creators out there, happy World Press Freedom Day, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And this year's theme is shaping a future of rights, freedom of expression as a driver for all other human rights. So, yeah, freedom is good, but when misused, it can also be bad. Like just what we normally say, too much of something is bad. But aside from that, now let's focus on this day, the main theme of today, which is press freedom. And I want us to start by understanding what is press freedom. Help me understand what is press freedom and why is it so important that we have press freedom. Yeah.
All right. So my fellow panelists and the audience out there, press freedom basically is the right to publish, the right to disseminate, the right to bring to the general public any information, thought, or opinion without restraint or censorship from the government or any other outside body, outside the media corporation or the media house. I think, in my own understanding, that could be our definition of what press freedom is.
Generally, meaning to say that they are being independent.
Yeah, they're independent without being intimidated, without their activities being stopped
Interfered with.
or
Yeah.
interfered with, or censored by any supreme body.
Yeah.
Okay. And why is it so important that we have press freedom?
Press freedom, when once a country attains full press freedom, it is something like that in any country. The people in that country, the residents, will now live knowing that nothing has been hidden from them. Also, the journalists will be working freely, with ease, without any pressure, because if there's no freedom, you'll have pressure to even go cover a certain story, because you never know what will happen after I've covered it. So all I can say is if a country attains full press freedom, then the country is on another level.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And still to add on what Moshiri has told us, the World Press Freedom Day was initiated by the UNESCO, and it had laid down some principles to guide on celebrating this day. And some of those reasons could also include celebrating the fundamental principles of press freedom. It would also evaluate how press freedom is carried out around the world. One core other reason is to defend media from attacks of independence. That is something we are going to talk about as we proceed, and also to pay tribute to journalists who lost their lives in exercise of their profession.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even as we look at all these importances of press freedom, what comes in mind at first, the major importance of press freedom, both for the general audience and for the state in itself, is to stamp out the fact that there is democracy in this particular state. Because as a country, Kenya, we cannot claim that we are democratic if our own press, our own media lacks the freedom to carry out its duty to the audience, which is informing the audience, disseminating information.
Exactly.
And media also has a role. One role of media is surveillance, just looking
Watchdog.
through, watchdog,
Yeah.
surveying, looking at what is
Exactly.
going on, and then bringing it to the eyes of the audience. If in an occasion where the government, in one way or the other, seems to be at fault or seems to be in war with the general public, it's the media's duty as the watchdog to bring this to the table and present it before the state and the audience. Guys, this is what is going on, and it's not supposed to be going on. In the case where we have a non-democratic country and the state decides to clip off the wings of the press in order for them not to air out, the grievances, the faults of the state and of the audience, then democracy is lacking.
Yeah,
Very
actually, the three main critical roles of the press or for the state is promoting democracy, promoting human rights, and promoting good governance in a country.
Precisely.
And there's something that Mushiri had mentioned, that if a country or if we have a full press freedom, is it to say that we are not yet there? It's to say that there's still we have not yet achieved full press freedom.
Facts.
And let me say this, it is 30 years. Today we are marking 30 years. That May
The 3rd of May.
2023.
Yeah.
30 years. And we're still talking about press freedom. What is happening in our country?
Yes. Now let us focus on our country, because even on, as Hannah said, 3rd of May each and every year, we celebrate World Press Freedom. World. So it's a world thing. It's an international thing. Now we narrow down and come now to our Kenyan borders, it's a subject of debate. It has been a subject of debate because why? We can say that at least since time immemorial, we can say that we have made strides to improve press freedom in the country, but we are not yet there.
Maybe just to give them a little bit of history of what we used to have and what and
Is
where
there
we
now.
are, and yes, what is there right now is that we were colonized, and during that time, whatever was being aired and generally being aired was being censored by the British, by our colonizers. So they were the ones deciding what we are going to listen, what we are going to watch, and everything.
And sorry to cut you short. Then news was only on the colonialists. That's a very important factor.
Very true.
Only on the colonialists. Nothing on Africans, nothing on the citizen, only on the colonialists.
And that has had a great effect, aside from having this press issue in terms of cultural things and so many other things, effects that we are still feeling them of, they're still impacting us up to date. Then we gained independence, and we started making a move where we are now having news from within our communities, news that are related to us in international
Through
news.
the Voice of Kenya.
Then we came to late and former President Daniel Arap Moi's regime. It was an interesting regime because press freedom at that time, there was no freedom. There was absolutely no freedom.
No sugarcoating.
Yes. So whatever was being aired and everything was dependent on what he decides.
Then what he does.
Exactly, like when it was attack.
Yes, that was in the 1980s.
Exactly.
Now, when we came to 1990s, that's now when we started having other stations, and moving on till today. but we're still struggling.
Mhm.
We are not yet there.
Mhm.
And why are we struggling?
We're struggling, as you've said, Hannah,
Mhm.
we have, at least in the 1990s, there was liberalization of broadcasting in the country.
Just like multi-democracy,
Ex-
would also say.
Exactly,
Yeah,
potato,
yeah.
potato, same thing. So
Yeah.
there was the freeing of the airwaves and licensing of private broadcasters. Rural media came in, the likes of the Standard and what have you, the Nation and what have you. So as now Hannah's posed a question on why are we still saying, despite her giving us that history from colonial times till now, why are we still saying that bado hatujafika? Why haven't we attained full press freedom in the country? One of the things I can say is one of the main problems interferences is government interference on matters media. And this is something that has been happening from time to time. We can even use most recent examples. For example, what is ongoing right now in Malindi. Yeah, exactly. The Shakahola massacre story. The people who aired that incident or that story and brought it to light were the media people, media stations, like media in short. And then 3 days later, 4 days later, after the exhumation started, and we started giving out the numbers, as we always do as the media, because our work is to inform people.
Sure.
The government came in and said the place has been closed away from reach of journalists, the people who were informing the numbers each and every day, giving us, videos showing us venye kunaendelea huko ndani. Now for now we are limited.
Yeah, what they're giving us is what they're being given.
Thank you so much.
It's
What they're feeding us, what they want us to
be fed.
exactly, yeah, to eat, exactly.
And the role of the press in this is not only in giving us the facts and the data, but also is on interpreting the whole situation, the whole scenario. So if we look at the scenario on Shakahola, where we feel the government is giving us what they want to give us in terms of the numbers of the bodies exhumed, and us not being given, when I say us, that is the press,
Obviously.
not being given the opportunity, to go to the ground and get factual data as per the process continues. That is now where the war comes in, conflicting interests. The government wants to manage the crisis by being the ones to give us the numbers. But we the press feel hizi numbers ni zenye ziko ama haziko. And these are two organizations and these are two bodies that understand what crisis management is. Obviously, the government would try and make the situation seem bearable because they want to not to raise extreme or extra alarm.
Especially to the international community.
The international
community. Exactly.
Because all eyes will be on Kenya, CNN and BBC carrying out their reports.
We depend on them. We depend on the international community for things like, funding. Thank you so much in a nutshell for funding, as we were told by Deputy President just some while ago. So they're trying to see how they'll cover up Ichthyotis balloon isitoke nje, but already it's a balloon that has already passed.
Why is it a problem? Whereas this government, it's our government. Our entry is supposed to be trusting the government. So we also having a problem here.
Trust issues.
Yeah, we are having trust issues.
Oh, because we cannot believe the government. Because
which should not be the case.
A good example is we can follow up on the numbers. The way the numbers were going, because now escalate. So we started with 16, and then another day 20 something, and then 16 again, and then now when they said
no press,
now the numbers
are
5.
And then after 5 the following day another like yesterday was say like 6. 8, and even we are getting different numbers because we will get from the government, they'll say 5, and then graveside people, the people who are working there, they'll say 8 to 10.
Sure.
So that is why, to answer the question Anna's just posed, that is why we are like, It's not possible.
And then you know they'd say 6 bodies, but as the press, obviously to make Okokwa the periphery, we've seen them load more than 6 bodies to the tracks, and
mobile morgue, the truck. They even had to bring one.
And they're telling us 6. And we've seen more than 10.
Before the operation started, they had marked 32 sites, grave sites, that they have to exhume. And by the time they were barring us from covering, they had covered around 3 or 4 out of the 30. You see? So
we
it's a
expect
bit mbadala, a lot of question marks. So we expect the numbers to continue, increasing. But now they're suppressing, and they might even say by the end of this week, because we're not on Tuesday, they may say by the end of this week, the story may shine, we have nothing else to look into.
Sure. That is just the government that we have.
Exactly.
The government of the
government interference.
So another problem, challenge also, I'm sure Alvin will weigh in on this, is limited access to information. Hence, that is limited access to information to the media people, the information which they get. Hence, we've seen the reduction of things like investigative stories and such things. So the fact that we are not able to access each and every information we want to cover something, it limits the press freedom to cover various things.
Okay, for instance, we could have a look after the August 2022 general elections.
Yes, please.
With what was happening around the media and with the government, just like in the previous point about the government interference. I remember there was this time when only one channel was told, you'll come out and air this event, no to the rest.
True.
So, wouldn't that have limited the freedom and right and even independence of other media stations and other media houses to exercise their duty, in which they're also supposed to be informing the nation, and that is why they are placed there to be fair. So the moment I just give room for one particular channel, which will share to other channels out there, what is really that? In fact, this only brings into the point of state-owned media houses, the one that will have the rule of the day. You see, which definitely it will have already limited every other media station's freedom. And another case we could also look on the Mandamano. Remember our freedom as journalists mostly was exuded after the 2022 August general elections, this being the year in which we are celebrating our 30th media freedom, as you have just said. So I think this is one of those years that we have also really experienced lots of the limiting factors on us. So we saw how journalists were attacked. There was a backlash on the onslaught of the fierce attacks on journalists. We used to see the tear gas, we used to see the stones from those
We were
areas.
able to protest.
And the tear gas is coming from the police.
From the police.
Who work for the government.
Yet we are relying on the same police to give us a cover-up on such
security.
Events and scenarios. You see, we need such security from the government for us to be able to air out and reveal to the people what is happening on the ground itself. But at the moment, it is just us. Yes, we will have our independence to go there and cover, but we cannot cover with that lack of support from whoever we need to be relying on to give us support and a hand that we need to give information to. Maybe if I should just quote one elder who told us that whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must first begin by subduing the freeness of speech. And it has not appeared not once, not twice, as Rhoda has told us in the Shakahola incident, where we're trying to bring crisis management policy in what we're doing. You see, in the Mandamano, there is also the instance of journalists will not go and cover the protests, so that I don't know whether it was supposed to be favoring or just a question of thought.
And I think that these are not the first instances. I believe even during the COVID-19 pandemic, if I'm not wrong, we had members of the press complaining that despite the government stating that members of the fourth estate have been given, pass pass
Yeah,
cards,
special passes.
special
Yeah,
passes
pass
to
cards,
have
Mhm.
access to different parts of the
Uh,
country.
Despite the
Yeah.
Despite
curfews,
the
the
curfew,
lockdowns,
lockdown and
yeah,
all,
yeah,
we
yeah.
still had journalists literally complaining that they are being harassed
Mhm.
by police officers.
Mhm.
They are also being held. What do we call them? They're also being held despite the fact that they have shown
Mhm.
their pass card.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
press card,
so
yeah.
limited access to information.
Yeah.
Being limited.
True.
Now, what would be the solution then? What would be the solution?
Tough
Do,
question.
do we continue? Yeah. Do we continue with the same situation? Do we continue complaining?
Okay, from what we have just posed right now,
Yeah.
there is a need to deepen democratic reforms.
Mhm.
And this will only come through support that
Mhm.
goes beyond just training. What do I mean? You see, it's such occasions and such events when we are at the sites in which, let me say, terror is happening to us. We want to give, because our work is to give out what is happening.
Yeah.
And if we are left just on our own with our cameras, with our crew to be performing the task with no cover from the government, then we are at a huge risk and at a very huge danger. Junisisi, actually, we will be trapped in whatever is happening. We are going to be trapped in whatever is happening. Then if we are trapped, how should the people know? Because our work is to inform.
Yeah.
So there is that need for support that goes just beyond the training that we have. Support from the government financially, knowing what is the welfare of journalists. You see, sometimes they tend to forget that we are people who also have our own needs in as much as we are delivering our duty.
Yeah.
There is more than beyond just covering the whole particular event.
Personally, I don't really feel like
Mhm.
once the government sees journalists or a media house,
Mhm.
they've seen an enemy.
Yes,
Because,
sir.
you know, honestly, we're always angry for information. If I say Mr. President, what I'll do, ask him questions,
Exactly.
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
And some of the questions might be those questions that they simply do not like. They don't want to give answers to.
For example, sorry for cutting you short.
Yeah.
In this Pastor Mackenzie story, when Pastor Ezekiel was arrested, well, they were at the police station, a journalist just came out and asked,
Yeah.
"Are you linked to? Yeah, are you linked to Pastor Mackenzie?" He turned and went like exactly true.
So we are seen as enemies. Yet
Members
we
of
are
the police
simply,
state.
we are simply watchdogs, you know. So the government, in order to solve this, I think the government has a sole responsibility to give us the assurance that indeed we have the freedom to
Sure,
carry out our
sure,
activities.
sure.
You know, there was this time where media houses were like saying, we know our activities are going to be limited. We know the government is going to do
When we
1,
wanted
2,
to
3
strike,
things. Yes.
wanted to protest
To
a
an
while
extent
ago.
that His Excellency Mr. President stood up and said in one of his addresses that the government has no plan to interfere with your activities.
Exactly true.
Yeah.
Sure,
He stood up and fucking said, no. So, yeah, the government has to, like, make us feel, you
Yeah.
know, we
True.
truly have freedom.
True.
Yeah.
Also, another way to curb this is having media structures that have a building coming up with media structures and houses that have zero political ties.
Very true.
Yeah, as this is something that, as you mentioned, the 2020 general elections, we can also use that as an example. There's one side that was saying, media houses huku sasa hata zi report stories zetu, they're not doing our stories because of the owner of the media house, the influence that a certain media house has because of matters politics.
Sure.
So if the moment as a country, we'll be able to overcome that, building media institutions that have negative political ties to any side, either the winning or the losing side, will take us a long way in helping us achieve this.
That comes with the ownership. Are we having media houses which are independent, or are we having state-owned media houses, which is okay
Yeah.
as a state
Mhm.
to
Have both.
yeah, having both. Yani ikuwe na their own media house,
Yeah.
and we also have other independent media houses. Now what we should be having ni, they should not be interfered with.
Precisely.
And you know,
Kabisa.
when you talk about politics, nasikia kucheka kidogo because I'm remembering the 2022
General
general
elections.
election.
Yeah.
We witnessed every media corporation having its own
Affiliation,
numbers.
like affiliated to another.
They have their own numbers, and quite coincidentally, the political parties that they are alleged to be affiliated to are the ones on the lead.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess that explains best what you
Sure.
mean by saying zero
Political ties.
or affiliation.
Sure.
Also, the media institutions, the media institutions we have, we should be more open and transparent
Sure.
when covering or sharing information with people, so that the press, so that they should be open so that we can share information that is trusted
Yeah.
outside there, so that we cannot even have this, hapana usiende kwa hii station because of this, usiende kwa hii station because of this. Exactly. So the media houses also themselves should strive to ensure that the information they disseminate and share is not,
Bias.
thank you so much,
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Common
we'd
ground.
also put on the need for consolidation and unity among these media institutions. You see, after all these events are now unfolding, is when we're now seeing the government advertising agency, we're now seeing the MCK. In fact, of even organizations that I
Watchdog
previously
organizations,
never had of
exactly.
coming up to say, no, this is not right. What if this would have started before? What from the onset of the previous times that
Yeah.
all this has been occurring, all this would have been laid at table and saying, we have to be working together from then on, not just at times when
When there are
journalists on
problems,
ground when I feel
exactly.
sasa tumefinyiliwa sasa it is now getting out of hand.
Yeah.
You see? So there is that need for consolidation and unity amongst media institutions for us to work together in coordination so that our voice could also be heard strongly to the government.
Yeah. Wow. If only all those things could be done, we would be somewhere, but we are still trying. Yeah, we are making strides,
Yeah, baby steps.
one step at a time. Maybe one day we will be there. And I would like to know what do you think is the future of press freedom in our country?
I hope we'll be alive to see the time when Kenya will attain full press freedom.
Because Vision 2030 is here already.
Yeah, it's already 2030,
Yeah.
and we can sense already. We have already started seeing some heat coming up in 2027. It's not even close.
No,
It's not even close, but we're already starting to feel that heat.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
So not to be honest.
There is something I just earlier today. Baby steps, and I'm wearing shoe size number 36.
Oh my.
So it just makes me relate. 30 years, we're still trying with the baby steps.
We're still at the
Yeah.
There's
Question to ponder
something
about.
wrong. Yeah. So I think with accountability, we will be able to reach that goal of a free press, freedom press.
Yeah, freedom of the press.
Yes, we would be able to reach there. Bearing in mind that the times we are living in are so different. We are living in a digital world where everything is turning or is being
Digitized. Yeah, we're heading to that side.
Thank you.
Exactly.
So news, everything, eco digital,
Social media and everything.
True.
which also brings to the fact that we also having other people also participating or practicing journalism,
Yeah.
which we would say is citizen
Citizen.
journalism.
Yeah.
And for these people, they are not being censored. They just air out whatever they feel like it should be aired out. Yet, yes, I agree that there should be regulation and all that. But you see, where we are heading is everyone is participating in informing others.
True.
So, if at all, for example, we don't have this accountability and having less interference
Yeah.
to the press, to the press, then we will have these people, the citizens now,
Yeah.
taking up the role.
Taking over. True.
Taking up the role, and it will be so shameful, because now it will be like, now it's the citizens against the, for example, the state.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So the state obviously wouldn't allow such kind of a situation to reach, to happen. Mona. So I think we will be having a situation where there will be some collaboration. I mean, there has to be. There has to be some agreement somewhere, so that right now everyone is able to access all these platforms and everything. So it is not so easy to danganya people.
Yeah, to lie to people, exactly. And in fact, still on the same point, is the people, as Hannah said, where now citizen journalism has taken over.
Yeah.
Literally has taken over, because we have some people who are self-proclaimed, they have their own channels, Twitter, and we just go to their channel and page just to follow them.
Sure.
So also on that side, the people, those specific people, should also ensure that whatever they share is something that is, credible, true, factual, so that here we can stick to that, because press freedom in involved is
What we'll be having as an issue is the credibility of information
Because
being
we've
shared.
Precisely.
fallen victim
Precisely.
fake news
Yes.
quite a number of
Yeah.
times. Yes.
Yeah.
Fake news circulating across the
And remember, what we need to sustain in this profession is the journalism itself.
Yeah.
We say fake journalism is rumors, but what journalism is, it is based on truth and facts.
You know, citizen,
Journalism.
they don't know this.
Yeah,
because
exactly,
they're
because they're
not,
not professionals.
they're not
Yeah,
trained, you know.
yeah.
True.
So I think there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Especially
Everything
with the digital era
Yeah.
now coming in.
it's coming with a lot of advantages and disadvantages as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because one of the main advantages is, as I've said, the people, they have large numbers. So if someone shares something right now, it affikia almost 50,000 people. Pap!
Sure.
Exactly. So that is one of the advantages that Hannah is saying. So disadvantage ni hiyo. Is it true?
Yeah.
Trying to separate mchele. Truth and yeah, exactly.
To be verified,
Exactly.
to
To
what
be
is
to be hard.
true, what is false.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
remember what we had in the case of elections. Just to remind,
That
just past
same night after the elections
Yeah.
were done, results started streaming in via Twitter. Oh, sijui someone has won in where, someone has won in where. And then the following day, ABC inatokea nasema, yo, guys, you are being cheated. Huyu ndo alishinda, si huyu.
And you know that again has a lot of impact depending on what we are dealing with. At that time, we were dealing with a very delicate issue.
Election, transition election. True.
I think when we're talking about critical national matters is where the line has to be drawn.
Yeah.
How is it going to be drawn? Who is
I
going
guess
to draw it?
policies and laws. I guess MCK plays.
Okay, something that was wrote about during that time, if I could remember well, I remember there is this instance where they said all social media platforms should be closed. I don't know for what benefit could have that brought to us, because we all have freedom to express at the same time. Remember, still, in as much as the government regulations and policies will do something so that maybe they could pass a certain law that they want to form to the people, there are still things that they cannot do. You see, in as much as they close and shut down the social media platforms, people still need the freedom of speech, freedom of expression to what they think is being done by the government. So that in itself is already a challenge that only God knows how we're going to deal with it.
So in a nutshell, the government has a big role to play in improving press freedom.
But drastic times calls for drastic measures.
They should be our friends and not our enemies.
That is now I'm saying, I hope we'll be alive to see us achieve this.
True.
Yeah.
Wow, so a lot needs to be done, and a lot has been said. the ball is in your court. You as the journalist out there, as a content creator, as a citizen journalist out there, ensure that whatever you do, as you're sharing information, make sure that the three critical roles of press and just sharing information are maintained. That is democracy, promoting democracy, promoting human rights, and promoting good governance in a country. Yes, that is all for today. Unless someone has something to add, then
Really?
The government should just now. It's not for the government to see this video, and everyone and every stakeholder in this media sector should see this video. Yeah.
So I think we are going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you guys for being here. I've been with Alvin, Mushiri, and Rhoda.
Excellent.
So remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Yes. Until we meet next time. Bye bye.
Ciao.